was asked to give you the lay of the land in SDN, and I'd start by saying there's certainly a lot of interest in SDN. It's just been growing over the past year. There's a number of startups, and of course all the main equipment providers are now developing SDN strategies or have announced them. But there's still very few products. Most of them are centered around what I call the poster child application for SDN, which is data center orchestration, which is a management application more than anything else. There's a number of standards bodies that are working on SDN standards. Everyone's familiar with the ONF and the OpenFlow protocol, but there's a number of standards that are evolving that have to do with SDN and the IETF. Right now, a lot of the early products are non-standard in one way or another, which kind of undermines the implied open mandate of SDN. I was asked what is the most defining changes in the SDN space, and I guess the most striking thing to me is the marketing behind the standards, at least exemplified by the push for OpenFlow by the ONF. We haven't seen anything like that before in a developing standard, or at least anything that overt. And then the demand for openness itself, both in the solutions and the standards. At least the software solutions crafted as SDN should work with multiple vendor platforms, or at least that's what we see coming from customers. And then the last most defining change, I think, is the way SDN is causing network elements to be reconstructed using the tenets of SDN in new ways. And then I was asked what are the elements that I see evolving going forward in the SDN space. And I guess the key elements going forward might be the recognition that SDN is more than a single controller type or protocol, that it's more of a framework, and that the standardization really will be multiple different APIs for a couple of different core services that framework has to provide, as well as around some of the data models for some of those services. And then maybe the recognition that SDN doesn't make hardware or solutions cheaper per se. That's happening on its own through commoditization of hardware, but that it's making them more efficient, pliable, flexible, and programmable. Lastly, I was asked how I see SDN playing a role in the data center and WAN. I'd already mentioned data center orchestration being the poster child application for SDN. So SDN applications are developing in that domain today, and it's my theory at least that they'll creep into the WAN. Anything you see happening in the data center will happen in the WAN, at least around the service edge, exploiting the same trends, which are network and service abstraction, virtualization, and resource pooling, and the use of overlays, as well as granular programmability to develop new services or new way of implementing services. In both domains, SDN is forcing a change in the focus from the network elements to the services that they provide and the applications that create new services or streamline the operations of existing services. And that's my opinion on SDN today.